Welcome to ATCM, the Emergency Medicine channel. Today we'll be discussing a 40-year-old male patient who came to RIA with complaints of acute onset headache.
Okay.
Okay, so a 40-year-old male was brought to RIA with complaints of acute onset of headache associated with some nausea since past 2 hours. On examination, he was conscious, oriented, and obeying to my commands. We went to a primary survey. Primary survey area was patent. There was no signs of any obstruction. There was no pooling or any gurgling sound or anything noted. His C-spine was normal. There was no restriction of movement or anything. On breathing pad, he had a respiratory rate of 20 per minute and maintained a saturation of 98% in room air. Bilaterally, he had equal air entry with symmetrical and adequate chest excursions.
Okay.
Circulatory part, he had a pulse rate of 78 per minute and blood pressure recorded was 130 by...
What is the importance of pulse rate in a patient who is having headache?
Usually, when there is actually, if he's experiencing severe pain, the heart pulse rate will usually be high.
Normally, it will be high. Okay.
Goes into bradycardia.
What are the
Phase
conditions?
ICT has to be
That is the first thing you will think. See, we are working in emergency room. We should think like that, but there are other reasons which is very common. Somebody is having migraine headache or whatever headache, but pulse rate is low. What she told is correct, but that is not the common reason.
One thing, he may be taking some beta blockers.
That is the first thing to be thinking. We are thinking differential diagnosis. You told is correct, but first thinking is always patient may be on beta blocker or diltiazem for headache. Then the patient is not on that, and if there is severe bradycardia, then you have to think about a bleed.
ICT.
Okay.
So the pulse rate record was 88 per minute and blood pressure was 130 by 70.
Okay.
At this point, we secured
Is the blood pressure reading important in headache?
yes.
Why?
It again actually can indicate any early signs of raised ICT. Because actually, if there is any
Can hypertension produce headache?
hypertension can also produce.
One of the common presentation of high BP is chronic headache. Suddenly it can increase also. So BP is
dehydration can also cause
that also produce headache. So headache, BP, pulse, all these things are important.
And at this point, actually, we secured a 20 gauge cannula and we went to the disability part. He had a full score of GCS.
Okay.
It was completely conscious oriented.
Okay.
And pupils are also equally reactive, 2.5 mm bilateral. Pain score, he complained of a pain score of 8 out of 10.
Okay.
And at this also, he was complaining of nausea.
Okay.
So at this point, we gave injection metoclopramide 10 mg was given along with paracetamol 1 gram.
Okay.
He didn't have any history of any drug allergies or anything.
Okay.
And he also complained of
Depending on that pain score, WHO pain scale, how do you manage? You told pain score. WHO there is a pain scale. You already started treatment. That's why I'm.
we can actually start from the high grade analgesia and we can give immediately, or like we can
Pain scale is high grade to low or low grade to high?
ladder,
Step ladder is.
step ladder. Yeah.
wherein pain score is regarded from 0 to 10. 0
Okay.
will be no pain, 1 to 3 is mild,
Okay.
wherein we give a patient either a paracetamol or a
Okay.
low dose NSAID and reassess the patient after 60 minutes.
Okay.
The second one would be a moderate pain, where it from 4 to 6 would be a moderate degree of pain, wherein we give a combination of either a paracetamol and a
Okay.
NSAID or a low dose opioid, and
Okay.
we reassess the patient in the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
The last thing would be a severe pain, that is anything more than 7 to 10,
Okay.
and there we give opioids and we reassess the patient in the next 15 minutes.
Okay.
In this patient, actually, we initially went ahead with the paracetamol because of the previous histories, because he had similar episodes in the past, and usually it's relieved by paracetamol.
Okay.
And also because in case we are suspecting more like a headache, and we didn't initially want to give any opioids in the beginning stage itself because he was complaining of nausea also. So we gave paracetamol and metoclopramide and continue with our examination. But he also complained of difficulty in facing light, was having some difficulty. So actually we turned the spotlight near his bed.
Okay.
Was turned out, and also curtains were pulled so that the difficulty was reduced. So with this management, we went ahead with our adjuncts. GRBS was just simply checked, was 112.
Okay.
No other adjuncts were necessary at this point. So we went ahead with the history. His history was like he had an acute onset of right-sided headache since
So
past.
somebody may have doubts that somebody is having headache. Why you are checking the sugar?
Sugar actually, this thing you have
Both
sometimes.
hyperglycemia and
Hypoglycemia is more commonly present with headache. Hypoglycemia can have severe headache. One of the presentation of hypoglycemia is headache. So anyway, in emergency room we always check blood sugar, but in this case, mainly we are checking to rule out.
Can precipitate a headache.
Okay.
Basically, this patient was actually a bystander of another patient. And basically, his child was admitted in the oncology ward for chemotherapy, and he was a bystander.
Okay.
So he has some history of reduced sleep since the past 2-3 days.
Okay. Anxiety.
And all
tension,
that.
sleep.
A young child. So his complaint was like an acute onset of right side headache since past 2 hours, and along with nausea. So he had a history of previous migraine history. At that time, he usually regularly take tab migrainal, which is a combination of belladonna with caffeine, ergotamine, and paracetamol,
Okay.
which he usually take regularly once daily for about 2 years before.
Okay.
But since the actually episodes has started coming down, he stopped taking that. And at this point, while he was in the hospital, he didn't have any other medications with his hand, so he came directly to the ER. So the symptoms was like a sudden onset of right side headache, which was actually not going away. It was more like a pulsatile sensation, and along with that, he was also having difficulty in facing light. Photophobia was also there, and so he came to the ER. There was no any history of any previous allergic history or anything, and he's not on any other regular medications.
His past history is important in this type of patients, and time is very important in this type of. What is the importance of time of presentation in headache? Time.
Basically,
Like morning, afternoon, evening.
If it is more like in the evening episode, it could be even be a tension headache.
Tension. They'll have band-like sensation.
More like a band-like this thing. And also the onset of time and the progressive symptoms can actually, we have to think about other differences like an eye grid or something, because
if it is everyday morning person is getting headache, what are the reasons? Early morning headache.
cluster headache.
Cluster headache very rarely. It is not every day. It occurs very once or twice in a year. Okay, it is not very frequent. But somebody is having most of the days headache in the morning hours. What are the differential diagnoses? Early morning headaches are classically seen in sinusitis and hypertension. Hypertension and sinusitis headaches are very common in the morning hours. If the sleep is disturbed due to headache, what may be the reason? Sleep may be disturbed due to headache. What are the headaches which can reduce the sleep, or even it will be intense during the night hours also?
Migraine.
Migraine mostly relieves with sleep, but it can sometimes reduces the sleep also. But most of the headaches are relieved with sleep. But some type of headaches you don't get sleep. You get like a patient who is having intracranial space occupying lesions. Their sleep is actually disturbed due to the headache. Whereas most of other headaches, sleep is normal. Very rarely sleep will be disturbed. Okay, so that you should remember. So if the patient is not getting sleep because of headache, you definitely have to take a imaging.
Okay. So this patient's history is a non-case of migraine. He had a history of migraine for so many years. So he know the pattern which he came to here was also similar to what he has experienced before also.
Okay, so there is an aura.
There is an aura.
So it is classical migraine or common migraine?
Classical
migraine. Common migraine without aura. Classical migraine is with aura.
And so he doesn't have any other past history or not on any medications. And there was actually the only event that is contributing to the symptoms is more like a reduced sleep for the past 2-3 days. And also because he's a bit stressful regarding his child. So in reassessment, his airway breathing circulation is well maintained now, but the pain score is again still persisting around 6/10. At this point, we give injection ketorolac 30 mg was given.
Okay, it's an NSAID.
NSAID.
Before giving ketorolac, what you should rule out?
One thing is actually we had to check for any previous renal disorders or any other.
Creatine, if you know, it is good. Then one more thing.
Any drug allergies.
Allergies, okay. One more. Asthma. So you have to ask history of allergy and asthma. You have to history of any renal dysfunction.
This has been asked once. It was
not need to give test dose.
Ketorolac usually we have to give.
All NSAIDs we must give test dose. Okay.
And so after starting this medication, we went ahead with our general examination. It was a moderately built and well-nourished male patient, conscious oriented. There were no signs of any pallor, icterus, cyanosis, or clubbing. Systemic examination all were within normal limits. And also he didn't have any neck stiffness or any other suggesting a meningeal irritation or anything like that. And also his vision was normal. There was no blurring or vision diplopia or anything.
What are the visual problems seen in migraine?
Migraine. One is most common is photophobia.
Photophobia is common. Then
Then
Colors.
spotters,
spotters.
flashy lights and all. Then third one.
This thing.
These are commonly seen in migraine. But in complicated migraine, what do you see?
This thing. Unilateral eye pain. Like
Pain is okay. Then diplopia.
diplopia.
So basilar migraine or brainstem migraine, you get diplopia, ophthalmoplegia. So many findings can occur. So if there is a neurological problem, then you should be very careful. It is floaters and reduced vision, transient loss of vision. All these things are commonly seen in migraine. Okay.
So since the patient was complaining of severe pain, we also started him on O2.
Okay.
Oxygen mask. Actually, we started with 8 liters of O2 and oxygen mask. Was
How do
started.
it improve the headache?
Basically, they have different theories from the initial stages for migraine, and the most common ones are actually vasodilatation causing migraine, mainly due to vascular this thing.
Okay.
So whenever we are actually giving more O2, it can actually reduce the this thing, PCO2. Again, low CO2 can cause vasoconstriction.
Okay.
So, but the newer theory is actually suggesting there is a multifactorial component in migraine.
It's multifactorial only, but one of the problem is vasodilatation. Oxygen can sometimes be helpful for this one.
So far for our patient,
And it is a reassurance for the patient also.
yeah.
Because we will be giving an injection, we may go to some other place. But if the patient is continuously on oxygen, they'll feel that they are taken care continuously. Okay.
So in our patient, initially we gave an antiemetic with the paracetamol. Then we started NSAID. Then we closed our curtains and reduced the light and all that for the reducing the irritation. And also started on O2. High flow O2 was started. And with this, actually, it has been continuing for about 40-45 minutes. And at this point, actually, but other initial, other physical examination findings were all within normal limits. And by around 1 hour, his pain score has come down to about 3.
Okay.
And he was feeling much better. And so after that, actually, he requested for discharge because he has to go back to this thing.
Okay.
And we discharged with him with a combination of naproxen with domperidone.
Okay. What is the dose of naproxen you given?
Naproxen we gave 500 milligram
Okay.
with domperidone was given. And it was more like an aborticin because he actually already had the migraine which at home. So
Okay. Is there any advantages over these types of NSAIDs? Is there an
NSAIDs
advantage?
actually ibuprofen, naproxen all have almost similar mode of action.
Okay.
But compared to this, ibuprofen is actually more lesser acting this thing. NSAID,
Naproxen is more powerful.
more powerful than ibuprofen, but actually ibuprofen is side effects wise actually ibuprofen has less gastric irritation.
Okay.
But in case of migraine, it's more better to give a bit more powerful NSAID, so we go for naproxen.
Okay.
Naproxen has a little more chance of
Why
gastric irritation.
why not etoricoxib?
Toricoxib,
Mainly it is COX-2 selective inhibitor. So in that the side effects again will be more in case of
Side effects are less in COX-2 inhibitors, but the problem is it's a slow acting drug and not potent like this naproxen. It's a mild drug, but its side effects profile it is good.
comparatively
Effect wise it is less.
So with this medication, he was sent home. So basically, we check for the red flag signs. Basically, in this patient.
Why you want to see the red flags, or what is the importance of red flag?
Red flags is actually a patient coming with headache. We have to first rule out any emergency or any indication for imaging.
Imaging is very so. All migraine we should not do imaging. Only certain headaches we have to do it.
So suppose it is not a migraine, it's like a first time headache with a severe headache, we have to better to go for at least a CT brain plane.
Okay.
And to rule out any SH or something like that. Especially if it's more like a picture of a thunderclap headache, like one of the worst headaches in his life or something is coming, then we can go for a CT. Otherwise, suppose even if it's a non-case of migraine with a recurrent similar episode, we have to think about imaging because if he's telling about the pain of the same area again and again, recurrent episodes of pain over the same area, we have to go for an imaging.
Okay.
And then again, if the pain is progressively increasing over time, from the onset about 2-3 hours later, the pain is progressively increasing.
Not like that. It is not like that. The pain increase over days. The same headache, suppose you don't treat, migraine will become very severe. Every patient we should not go for that. What they mean is, today suppose your pain score is 6. After 1 month you are getting again a headache that is 10, and it is keep on increasing. That pain score is keep on increasing and not getting relieved with your routine medication. Then it is an increasing problem. You have to do imaging.
Progression from unilateral to bilateral.
Unilateral to bilateral is classically seen in migraine. If it is persisting unilaterally, then you should be very careful.
Also associated with any history of any auditory sensorium, seizure, any fever, or any neck stiffness, or any neurological symptoms, we have to go for imaging. Also, if suppose the patient is having on any anticoagulants or antiplatelets, then with a sudden onset of pain, we can think about imaging if it's not relieving with our initial management. Again, a patient who's immunosuppressed, like an HIV patient or something, or more on a chemotherapy patient, or even an oncology patient with an acute headache, we have to think about either a space occupant lesion or maybe some infection in the brain. We have to rule out.
You want to rule out visual problems?
Papilledema is also an indication for
Papilledema is not glaucoma is more important. Papilledema, you are thinking about raised ICP and papilledema. More important is rule out glaucoma. Okay, and visual problems like visual refractory errors, that should be corrected, and the patient has to be advised to wear specs continuously. Many use the specs only for reading. If migraine patients are doing like that, they'll get repeated attacks. So that is very important.
So also, suppose we are discharging the patient, we can actually advise them regarding measures that can be taken to prevent a second episode, like any stress factors, like getting adequate
What are the common triggers of migraine? If you know that, you can advise the patient. Caffeine, chocolate.
Citrus fruits.
Then?
It depends for different people.
That is very important. Different.
Basically, stress, hunger, any history of any travel, or any this thing, lack of sleep, any medications or any.
One important thing you are not telling. Natural. What is
sunlight?
Sunlight is most important thing. So when that type of patients, you have to advise like glasses, dark glasses when they go out. Okay. Then depending on the person, like coffee, tea, somebody is taking tea every day, not taking tea. All these things are important. Not hunger, like that. So many things can be.
Also, some people may have perimenstrual headache also, it's common. And so, once the patient is having recurrent episodes, actually we can even start them on a prophylactic medications also.
Okay, but all patients who is having recurrent, there are some guidelines. Like repeated episodes of headache, certain number of headaches in a week. That is
basically more than 2 headaches per month with basically disabling headache. Basically,
that is very important.
Not able to do his daily activity because of this headache. That kind of severe headache, more than 2 in a month, lasting for more than 2-3 months, we can think about starting a prophylaxis. The most preferred common agent we prescribe is propranolol.
Propranolol is a beta blocker.
Beta blocker, Inderal, which we give.
Why we use propranolol? Can we use other beta blockers? What is the main difference between in treatment options? We are using propranolol in different treatment options. Where all we use propranolol? Anxiety, tremors, then thyrotoxicosis, migraine, then portal hypertension. Here, all drugs can be used, but migraine, especially propranolol, only we are using. Why? Even in thyrotoxic also, it has got that action. Fear, tremor also, it has got that action.
No.
It only crosses blood-brain barrier. This is only beta blocker which crosses blood-brain barrier. Whereas other drugs have a similar action. So you in portal hypertension we use carvedilol. But carvedilol cannot be used in migraine because it does not cross like propranolol. So that is very important.
So some people who are having asthma or any other similar history, we may not be able to use propranolol. Then we can go for other agents like topiramate and all that.
Common first line drugs, one is propranolol. Flunarizine. Okay, flunarizine is a
this thing. It's a
calcium channel blocker. It's a calcium channel blocker. Okay. So what are the side effects of flunarizine?
It can itself induce headache.
It will not. It will produce sleep. Okay. So patient will be more sleepy. So you have to take history. If suppose we start on flunarizine, we have to ask whether patient they develop more sleepiness, daytime sleepiness. Then that drug will become ineffective. Okay. So flunarizine is a good drug, calcium channel blocker.
Then we can go for topiramate.
Okay, higher drugs like topiramate. Most of the drugs which is used in seizure can be used here also. Okay.
Then lamotrigine.
Okay. All these drugs are used in
amitriptyline.
Okay.
So these are all recommended for patients who are having recurrent episodes.
Okay.
And also we have some new
How do you differentiate cluster headache from migraine?
cluster headache. Actually, both will be unilateral headaches only. But actually,
Cluster headache actually has a diagnostic criteria. So that is like more than 5 attacks in a day. And apart from that, there will be like at least one of the
ipsilateral symptoms will be there.
Okay.
Conjunctival injection.
That is very
basic
important.
injection,
Redness of the
Lacrimation.
eyes, lacrimation.
lid edema,
Ptosis,
meiosis.
meiosis.
That is very important. Okay.
Along with this, 15 to 180 minutes should be the duration of the severe or very severe.
We will not be making that diagnosis because pain management is one of the most important thing we have to do in ER. We will not be
Diagnosis
waiting for
secondary,
15 to 60 minutes to subside that headache.
Every other day it will come.
Okay.
It could either be circadian or like a circummanual, like in a seasonal headache or like a circadian.
Okay. Tension headache?
Tension headache, actually, there will be some history of some
Band-like
sensation.
Okay.
The patient may have some history of stress and all that. And then it's more like towards the evening time.
Giant cell arteritis?
It's again
It's a unilateral headache, but it is mostly not thrombing type of headache. It is mainly seen in elderly individual, male patients, and thickened arteries. Okay. Temporal thickened arteries.
then suppose this thing more suggestive of migraine is more like a younger age group with previous episodes. Unilateral, sometimes it can travel to the opposite side also.
Okay.
And also with the aura, like it could be either photophobia or like any hearing, this thing can also be there.
Okay.
And then actually it's usually relieved by medications, but again have recurrent episodes.
Okay.
And sometimes it can even last for several hours, associated with nausea and vomiting.
What is your opinion about morphine in migraine headache?
Morphine is actually it's a drug that can be given for migraine as a last resort, a second or third resort once it's not relieved by paracetamol or NSAID. But the main issue is actually the patient can get addicted to or like.
So it will lead to daily headache. Every day they will come with migraine. We'll have to every day we have to give morphine. That's why we
come
have.
to a stage like he won't be satisfied with any other medication than an opioid.
Okay.
Trigeminal neuralgia also has to be thought of as a DD.
Okay.
Apart from
Okay.
exon.
And so actually this thing,
Which type of patients you suspect trigeminal neuralgia?
Female, I don't know, males.
Trigeminal neuralgia mainly seen in post-herpetic neuralgia. Sometimes you can get diabetic patients. You can get patients who is having chronic atherosclerotic disease. You can get, and rarely due to neurological problem like multiple sclerosis. All these things you can get.
So in patients who have retractable migraine, there are some newer modalities. Like actually we can go for botulinum toxin injections are available, but it's not, I think, very common in India. But
How it will be helpful in migraine?
basically it can reduce the frequency and severity.
Botulinum toxin is directly injected to the muscles. That during that course of blood vessels, some muscles will develop spasm. If you inject botulinum, that muscles will be completely paralyzed. So that spasm will be relieved. The process will be same. Okay. So that intensity of headache can be relieved. That will last for 3 to 4 months. Okay.
Then we have some newer modalities like actually transcranial magnetic simulator.
Okay.
Basically, it is actually a device which the patient himself can hold behind his head with both hands,
Okay.
and just release we can just use a button to release some magnetic energy which can reduce the headache.
Okay.
These are all actually newer modalities actually recommended as a daily usage, but not to exceed one treatment in 24 hours.
Okay.
So 24 hours actually we can use it for one time. Basically, it's like a plate-like device which can hold behind the head and give as a push button.
Okay.
And also there is actually a non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation,
Okay.
which again can actually get used for helpful for migraine,
Okay.
like episodes. This is more like a small handheld Doppler-like device which can be used in the neck and can release this thing to reduce the migraine.
Okay.
So there are newer modalities which we have available right now.
Apart from that, in medications itself, pharmacological triptans can be used like
Okay.
that is available in various forms like oral form, subcutaneous, intranasal, all of that like sumatriptan, zelmitriptan, naratriptan, rizatriptan. All these triptans can also be used because they are serotonin 1B, 1D agonists. So they will again reduce acute attacks. Apart from this, there will be calcitonin gene-related peptides, but this efficacy is still like under.
Okay. Triptans where you should not use. That is very important. Which all condition you should avoid triptans
Basal
or ergotamines. basilar headache and cardiac diseases, we should avoid this type of drugs. Okay.
Then there is another newest thing, that is frenazumab.
Okay.
Frenazumab.
So monoclonal antibodies.
It's a monoclonal antibody that you get in 225
Okay.
mg subcutaneous dose, frenazumab. And then
In pregnant patients, we can even try for magnesium sulfate. MgSO4 can also be given. Especially in case of preeclampsia or any situation like that, we can also go for MgSO4. Then
Anything else to be added, sir? Drugs, opioids.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.